Welcome to another edition of In Conversation here on Rock Show Critique. And today we got a very special guest. I'm going to bring him in right now, as a matter of fact, none other than Mr. Clay Melton. Welcome.
Hey Joe, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's great to have you on, definitely. So you're looks like you're really starting to head into a real busy time this part of the year now for you with the couple of singles you got released here. You got the one Runner coming out April 14th, as a matter of fact. And you also released one in February, Live on a Wire. Tell us about those songs and what your plans are for album. Obviously, they're going to be probably on down the road and all that.
Yeah, we're those are the first two singles that we put out that are in studio singles since our 2022 live album release, live in Texas. And we actually cut them all right here in my living room right behind me in Houston, Texas. And for the life of the band, we've always worked in studios with producers where we were renting the studio time, and so that's partially the reason why we moved to this kind of process, this more DIY. Our producer also lives used to live in Austin, Texas, to jump down the road, but now he moved back to his home in Barranquilla, Colombia, which is more of a trip you have to plan for. So we've been working with him remotely and just recording things ourselves, which really gives us the time to experiment, to come back to sleep on an idea is the biggest, I think, plus to this whole project. Um, and so we've experimented with different things. So Live on the Wire and Runner are both the first two songs we've done and released in this house. As far as where they fit in on the album, we're busier than we've ever been this year in 2023. We signed with Hungrier booking agency in December, and we're about to kick off on our first leg coming up here at the end of this month in April. And then we'll be on till August in the East Coast, Midwest, um, all that good stuff. So it'll be interesting finishing the record in between touring, which, especially since 2020, we had plenty of time at home to work on recording.
Yeah, I was going to say it looked like you came out with your debut in 2017, and then the EP came out in 2021. Um, do you have a tentative date when you want to probably get this new album out?
Yeah, we're looking at spring 2024 for a couple reasons, just being the tour schedule being so heavy, and also us, really trying to make it a reality to hopefully get down to our producer Sebastian Kier's place down in Colombia and try and do a record together in a room. That won't happen until after the touring season, but there's so many great, Latin percussionists and their brass sections are amazing down there, and so I'd love to kind of also fuse some of that into the album if possible. So it'll be interesting, but 2024 in spring is when we're looking.
All right, now, do you consider yourself a little bit more meticulous about your recorded music? Because, obviously your first full length came out in 2017, so now your second full length won't be out 7 years later.
Mhm.
And you had the pandemic to, downtime there, obviously. I don't know what you did during it, but what do you think? Are you picky about the recorded music that you record?
I would say, I mean, picky kind of comes with the territory in my mind for any artist. We're all obsessive to some degree or another, right down from listening to music to making it. And I know, I mean, during the pandemic, we wrote a lot. I wrote Back to Blue, the EP, and recorded that in 2021. And then 2022, when things opened up, we recorded a live album, partially because all our talks in the studio had been, how do we capture this live sound that we have as a three piece? And obviously doing it live is a pretty straight to the punch way to capture that. And two, I wanted to get something out very quickly and just get back out on the road once things started opening back up again after the pandemic. And so, what's interesting is Runner is actually a song from our live album in 2022. We recorded it here in Houston, and a lot of the songs on that album that were new that made it to the live album, it was the very first time we'd ever played them live because we'd written them during, while clubs were still shut down and hadn't toured them, which gave him a very fresh approach. I was very happy with how they came out, but now we toured them for a whole year since then. And so Runner, we all felt in the band. It was the one that last summer on tour, everyone got the biggest kick out of as far as the band goes, and then the crowd also telling us after the show. So we thought we'd do a studio version and kind of give it its day in court, you know. And I'm super happy with how it's come out.
Great. Now you say you got the band there. Just a three piece right
Yes.
now?
Yeah, just always been a three piece. It's Zach Grindle on drums, and nowadays I'm way more of a consistent lineup than in previous years. Burn the Ships was my first album with Grindle. He's been here on drums since the beginning. We're coming up playing about 9 years together, and then Zachary Cox joined the group about a year and a half ago on bass, and I've known him actually since middle school, and we played in some high school bands together. We reconnected at the end of the pandemic, and he's a guitarist first too, which I like that he brings that kind of thought process to the group sometimes, because working in a three piece can throw you into various kinds of roles. Everybody's really got to know what role they got to fill in that particular arrangement to lift the song. Because without one piece, it all falls apart.
Yeah, yeah. So, obviously, once you started playing and everything, was it always guitar player first, vocalist second? What made you decide to do vocals as well?
I was not a born singer at all. I started learning guitar, and it was all guitar. But I loved to play the songs that I was learning, and I wanted to sing them. I was always singing when I was growing up, but I wasn't
Mhm.
trying to judge myself like I had begun to on the guitar. As far as like testing myself to see how well I could do it, I'm like, can I actually play this lick on guitar? And then I'd try and go sing the song, and just be, just watch the dismal cassette recording of whatever I tried. And so it took me a long time to really find my voice and control it. Um, but it was all trial and error.
So, take us back how you started in the music business.
Well, I fell in love with guitar just hearing Hendrix. My dad put All on the Watchtower, Hendrix's version of on in his truck when I was like 11 or 10, and it just really blew my mind, and I got infatuated with the guitar, and then went back to influences I heard Hendrix talk and play. um, love Buddy Guy, All the Kings, Albert Collins, Lightning Hopkins. There's a huge rich blues history, and that's really how I got started playing live and playing the music business, was through a really supportive and welcoming like blues jam scene down here in Houston. Carlos Johnson was a percussionist who ran a lot of jams here in town at Dan Letro's and a place called Last Concert Cafe. And, I was lucky enough that my dad was down to drive me to these places and convince the owners to let me in just to play before I was old enough. And so before then, me and my buddy had been doing crawfish bowls and block parties. But after those jams, I started playing out live as a three piece by 14. And I think live experience for any young player is just the best thing that you can do. Play that along with playing with other people in any setting, in just a garage. You just learn everything so much, everything's compounded, all your experience.
How do you handle like what's like the biggest crowd you've ever played in front of that you're
Um, couple thousand. Um, I've done supporting acts stuff, and that's all. That's typically for us at this point. It's when we're supporting larger acts. Um, so yeah, a couple thousand people. So nothing too wild. Our goal is just to have an audience that really wants to be there too. I don't
Mhm.
and I still like, even any chance you can like see, your favorite artist, they do like a clubs tour, where they're coming and playing in dive bars. That's a sweet spot for me. I love to see artists in that element. So like I said, for us, it's just nice when there are people anywhere that want to hear the music, and we're happy with any kind of experience like that.
Do you ever have any stage fright or nerves before shows?
Nothing, thankfully nothing I had to battle. Like some people I know, it's real tough on them. Um, But it's always, natural nerves. Kind of. I think I'd probably start singing more to myself at home, or something. Just kind of buzzing with let's do this thing.
So what's the plan for the rest of the year then? Talked about some touring and finishing the recording. Any other projects or anything else you're working on?
Yes, we're on tour through about August or September this year, and like I said, between that we're finishing writing and recording. Um, and
Hmm.
it'll be an interesting process. I think it's going to be great because we'll have a lot of opportunity to work the new songs out on the road, which is always a great pre-production process for us. Um, so it'll be interesting. There's a couple other things we have in the works. We just finished some Dolby Atmos mixes, which is an insane rabbit hole of audio. I'm not sure if you've heard of Dolby Atmos, but it's the future
Mm-mm.
of how people will be listening to music.
Hmm.
As soon as next year in their cars, there's already models of headphones, and it's surround sound that is, to put it very, very plainly, the true Dolby Atmos engineers will probably scoff at this description, but just imagine you have your left and right speaker in front of you in your center, but you also have up here, behind you, and directly behind you. So you're basically in the middle of a sphere of audio. So this has been used for movies for a long time, and we just were able to link up with the same studio that where we tracked the EP Black to Blue with Danny Jones and David and Gier at Across the Road Studios. They've just finished their setup, and we remixed that EP in Dolby Atmos, and so we don't have plans yet for a release when, but it's going to be a very interesting project.
All right, so like out of all your influences in that, who was your favorite one that you were able to see live, like your favorite performance?
Oh man, I saw Buddy Guy at Jazz Fest just a few years ago. He's on his farewell tour right now.
Hmm.
Um, he's just, I think, 85, and just a true living legend. And I mean, even a couple years ago, he was commanding the stage. He was, taking shots at Jack and throwing, bandanas on his guitar strings, playing with the drumstick, and just owning the crowd and having fun. And I saw him when I was much younger at a place in Fort Worth, Texas. Um, and I've just always really loved his attitude on stage and his music, obviously, his guitar playing.
Yeah, I've never had a chance to see Buddy, but he is coming up this way in the summer, so hopefully I'll be able to catch that and experience it since it is going to be his final tour here.
I know, I highly recommend it.
Yes, definitely. All right, well, good luck with everything with the new single that's coming out on the 14th of this month, Runner, and then everything else that you got going on here. And yeah, next time you head up to this way in our neck of the woods, definitely we'll let everybody know when you're going to be out this way, and hopefully we'll get a good crowd and get a really good show going here. Be great to see you live, that's for sure.
Sounds great. Yeah, we'll definitely link up when we get out of your way. I appreciate you having me on.